what was the gap that you identified in the market?
I think the biggest gap is, as I identified, the natural language processing and natural language generation technologies have been very monotonous. They were either around keyword detection or figuring out alternate ways to identify intent.
What was the most difficult part in the early stage of your company's growth?
The biggest challenge is that we set very high bars for ourselves. We didn't want to be another company which is doing social media sentiment analysis or doing bots using out of the box NLP that is available.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My name is Yashvi Malvi and I'm from Startup Lanes. We welcome you here on board with us today. I would like you to please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, my name is Puneet Gupta, and I am the co-founder of Polynomial.ai, a startup focusing on how deep learning can be applied to solve automation problems using NLP for enterprises. I have been a career technologist, love technology and the art of the possible that technology can create. Over my career, I have built a patent portfolio of over 85 US patents in areas as diverse as artificial intelligence, cloud, robotics, and user experience paradigms. And very, very passionate to see how the emerging technology landscape can be used to change the status quo and make the world a better place for all of us.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. So, my very first question for you is that how did you come up with the idea of your startup?
So, if you see around and look at the fundamental transformations that are taking place, artificial intelligence, without any doubt, is perhaps the biggest technological phenomena. Almost for the last 10 to 15 years of my life, I have been witnessing AI in different forms. It holds a lot of promise. But when it comes to really impacting your life and mine, it seems that it works beautifully in the labs or in specific niche areas, but it doesn't truly come close to how human beings interact and think. I have been witnessing this whole journey about machines being able to converse with us in English or in our native languages, but you always find them so very artificial. They can sort of do simple conversations, but not the level of fluidity that human beings have. So I was always at one end excited about the job that AI and NLP can do, but very frustrated when I would see these bots. And even now, 9 out of 10 bots, they seem like DOS prompts. Tell me your name and what do you want to do? Yeah. I and my co-founder, we wanted to create a technology which truly behaves like human minds does. Cognitive capabilities and fluidity in conversation, in expression, in understanding. So when I'm speaking with you, I can understand your emotions. I can understand the intent behind the question. I can understand complex queries. And we were very passionate about solving this problem. And we strongly believe that this fundamental problem can be solved. We can change the game. So that's the genesis of the idea.
Great, sir. So, what was the most difficult part in the early stage of your company's growth?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is that we set very high bars for ourselves. We didn't want to be another company which is doing social media sentiment analysis or doing bots using out of the box NLP that is available. We truly challenged ourselves into saying, can we build a sentient machine which begins to operate at cognitive abilities which are closer to an average human being. So I think the biggest challenge was that we were the biggest critiques of ourselves. We would not be satisfied with launching a product in the market unless all of us felt that we have reached there or almost reached there. The second part is, once we got confident that we have this fantastic technology and it can change the status quo, it's not enough that we believe it. We wanted some real significant engagement with real clients out there where we can truly prove that not only we believe we have a great technology at hand, but in real enterprise context, in high volume and complexity of real life, we have a technology that can make a difference. So it took some time for all this to come together, but now we are very excited.
Very good insight, sir. So moving on to my question, what was the gap that you identified in the market?
I think the biggest gap is, as I identified, the natural language processing and natural language generation technologies have been very monotonous. Okay,
Right.
they were either around keyword detection or figuring out alternate ways to identify intent. We wanted a machine, a piece of distributed technology that can go beyond the surface of a conversation, that can understand the mood of the individual, the tonality, the formality. When we speak, we don't need to be syntactically correct. When we
Right.
type, sometimes we do typos, we
Errors.
grammatically write it wrongly, or we human beings, not everybody is very gifted to sort of communicate it exactly the way we want. So I think the biggest gap that we figured out, that there are hundreds of these startups trying to apply AI, chatbots, text analytics in different vertical solutions. And I think that's a great thing. But we've always felt that the fundamentals of how you are doing this is weak. And therefore, we decided that before we go out and try solving the same problem, let's get the fundamental right. And that has been, I think, the primary problem statement that we have all been focused on solving.
True, true. So, can you explain your business model?
Sure. So, so from a business perspective, what we wanted to do is every business that is out there which is interacting with any stakeholder. It could be end consumers like you and I. It
Yes.
could be business partners. It could be employees. We wanted to make sure that the business and the underlying platform, the technology, every business today has a digital platform
That,
around which
that,
you're growing. We want that platform to speak to the end users itself without needing help of those call center executives or field agents or other experts that you need to do. Obviously, for deep complex jobs, you need to do that. So our business model is focused on a SaaS model, which is focused on large scale, small, medium sized businesses, which can immediately get great benefit by adopting these technologies, but they don't have the technical know-how or the commercial ability to do this multi-million dollar deployments. So we have a pure SaaS go-to-market model where they can just get started on their own with limited technical interventions. But at the same time, there is a huge opportunity, multi-billion dollar opportunity available with large enterprises who have got a mess in their technology landscape, and they know that they want to make every piece of technology intelligent, whether it is ERP, CRM, HRMS system, etc. And we have a PaaS, platform as a service model for them, where they can work with us, license our technology, either work with us in implementing in their environments or just get trained and using themselves. So two markets, one being served by a SaaS proposition, very low entry barrier, low technical input, low cost starting point, and a platform as a service proposition for large enterprises.
great, great. So, continuing with the next question, what are the products and services that you offer?
Okay. So there's a bunch of things that we do, but broadly speaking, we have broken everything into what we call insights as a service and expressions as a service. Okay, insights as a service is a product line platform that goes to market by the name of Lens, Polynomial Lens, and it is focused on using of these distributed cognitive cores, which is, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are trying to solve the problem of machines becoming human-like intelligence. So we have hundreds and thousands of these mini brains or cognitive cores that come together and look at an information and derive new insights. For example, if you want to figure out what are all your consumers talking about your products on Amazon.com and what can I learn from a competitive positioning, pricing, etc., you can use Lens and say, hey, Lens, just watch out this piece of information. Just look at Amazon.com like I do and draw out those insights and just tell me what should I do. So that's one proposition, which is insights as a service. The second proposition is what we call expressions as a service under the brand name Coco. Coco is that conversational agent which can sort of understand your business and then converse with your end users like human being we do. And that's where you see a whole lot of intelligent bots helping you generate leads, doing human resource management services, doing digital marketing, doing customer servicing, even helping somebody comes to your e-commerce website and say, hey, I want that gift for my wife and I'm not able to figure out what. And this Coco comes in and say, hell, let me help you out. And in a very nice human-like conversation, they will wade through the e-commerce environment and say, hey, this may be the right one for you. So expressions as service, which is all the bots and the conversation agents kind of service, and insights as a service, which is about look at any unstructured information and give me actionable insights.
Great, sir. So tell me, so can you please tell me who are your target customers?
Okay, so most of the industries that we are focused on are industries which have a very strong end consumer touch. So banking industry, retail, any other industry which is which an important part of their value chain is interacting with consumers like you and I. I think these are great industries which are sort of waiting to be disrupted or automated or enabled by all these technologies. Within these industries, we are focusing on few markets. Asia and Asia Pacific, the emerging part of the world, is a very important part of the market that most big tech firms have not focused on. So apart from our usual focus on US market, which will continue to be an important market, our own India market, which is becoming one of digital powerhouse from both enterprises and consumers perspective, and the Southeast Asia market, where we are right now focusing on Singapore as a market, and that as a sort of door to the rest of Southeast Asia.
So why do your customers choose your products and why do they order again?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, and it's something that is sort of ingrained in our DNA, that many of the stakeholders who are part of the company have spent some time or the other in product companies and also in services companies. And they, while there is beauty of what a product company like Polynomial does in terms of building great technologies and platform, being part of service companies, you get a sense that ultimately all it matters is what is the client's problem and how do you solve it. So even though we are a very SaaS, platformized, focused, deep learning AI company, we have built a very thin but very nice consulting layers. People who understand user experience design, people who understand domains like banking, retail, etc. People who are sort of consultative, like these consulting firms. And then in the initial part of our life, when we work with any clients, this thin layer that we put does an incredible job in trying to sort of understand what is the real problem and perhaps the problem behind the problem. So we are not like that SaaS company has come to our website and just take subscription. It will happen, and that's an important part of how we grow. But when we engage with somebody who comes with a new problem, we put all our heads, right from the CEO, CTO, CEO, CMO of a company, everybody is sort of focusing on talking to the stakeholders and solving the problem. And therefore, the level of understanding that we have, and therefore the recommendation that we give, is always very deeper. And we build these relationships where the clients will, even after 7 or 8 months, they'll pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm trying to do something else. Can you guys just listen to us and how we do it? And that gives us incredible insights about the real problem. And that we then give it to the SaaS team, and the SaaS team sort of optimizes the solutions in such a way that on day one, it is built on a realistic notion of a problem rather than a bunch of technologists trying to do something interesting.
Okay, sir. So can you please tell me that what are the 3 unique things about you that make you better than your competitors?
Okay. One, without any doubt, is that our secret sauce is the fundamental technology that we have built. I didn't get an opportunity to describe it earlier, but let me do it quickly. We now have a platform where in a cloud environment, we can spin up thousands of cognitive cores, which are like mini brains in itself. One specializing in interpreting mood, and second interpreting language, and third understanding the domain understanding, and how in ultra real time they are able to orchestrate. So if our technology were listen to this video and we were to feed this video, they will be able to understand really what is your intent and how they are doing. So I think that fundamental technology is a big differentiator. As a result, any problem that we solve via an insights as a service or expression as a service, the level of outcome and experience that we get is different. So no longer the conversation is, hey, there are 1,000 chatbot companies, you are 1,000 number one. And people can immediately see that this is a different way to solve the problem. That's number one. Number two is this very consultative approach. Initial time when we are trying to solve a client's problem, we overinvest. So in the first 2, 3, 4 months of a relationship, we are burning cash because we are spending more than the client wants, because we want to get very deep and intimate about what we are trying to do. And the third differentiation is, while we do all these consultative things, while we do great technology, we are very sort of focused on how do we build a scalable business. So all these insights we convert into a very sassified model of doing things. Once we have proven it once, twice, or thrice, now the next 20 customers can just come without our involvement, and then they can adopt the solution. And I think these are the 3 dimensions which allow us to succeed. Investors like what we do, and clients find the efficiency because initially they get the intimacy, and later that we get the cost efficiency because we are able to operate at scale.
Okay, so my next question for you is that why should a job applicant work with you?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think somebody has to spend time with this team to understand the level of passion and excitement in what we do. So if you are in the technology industry, you are enamored by what machine learning and artificial intelligence can do. You love full stack development. You love the front end, the back end. You love new cloud-based architecture. You love newer paradigms in what you need to do. We are truly operating at the cutting edge of everything. Every problem that we are trying to solve is architecturally pushing us to a limit. From a fundamental AI libraries and capabilities perspective, pushing us to the limit. We have great technologies from the Googles and Facebooks, but even when we use them, we figure out that we had limits. So we are trying to solve these problems. So I think for anybody who's passionate about technology and wants to sort of really see how you can solve problems using the cutting edge of the technology, you will not find a better place. And second is obviously, we believe that what we are building, the platforms and technologies that we are building is true to success. So everybody who's joining us at this stage is truly being looked at as being part of the founding team. So we are sort of pampering them with everything we can do with a lot of attention and love, and obviously a lot of stock options and stuff like that. And third is we are very focused on solving real problems in go-to-market. It's not like a bunch of techies building a product and then you don't know how to sell it. There is part of the team which is focused on that. So people who work with us, they sort of naturally develop their profiles in terms of understanding technology, but understanding how you solve real world problems with it.
That's amazing, sir. So what are the products and services that you constantly require from your business?
I think the biggest sort of product and service input for us is raw talent. So obviously there is a lot more that we are doing both in products in terms of solving client problems, and the team is never enough. So we are sort of very rapidly expanding. Any good talent that is out there is an important input for us. But beyond that, I think there are a lot of partners that we are constantly looking in the who can support us with the go-to-market basis, because as we are sort of identifying micro opportunities that we are sassifying and going to market. Now, each of those opportunities is not enough to build a great product or a micro product and doing the initial validation, which we are able to do. We have enough network among ourselves to be able to do that. But then we need focused energies on how to product roadmap them, how to take to market, what are the segments to focus on, what is the right marketing message, create new innovative ways to engage it. So I think that's one very important thing. Anybody who has the ability to sort of really, and we are a very outcome focused kind of people. We don't sort of appreciate sort of effort is appreciated, but just defining effort and what we will do is not important. So anybody who has the mindset, hey, let's work with you and solve a problem. And as you solve the problem, you make a sort of incredible output out of it compared to if you are sort of selling hours and times of it. So we are always looking at the ecosystem. We are also looking at other partners who are who have specific industry business solutions. You are in human resource space, you are in the CRM space, you are in the warehouse space, you are in the marketing space. You believe that AI and conversational technology can make a difference. We are always looking to partner with them so that we can help them expand their capabilities. In the process, they sell more and we sell our technology.
Great. So following this question, on which parameters do you select your vendors and suppliers, like price, quality, or convenience?
I think quality is without any doubt the most significant one, because I think the thing that we have the least of is our own bandwidth at time. At any time, we are juggling with what are the three things that we do not do because we want to do a good job at the two things that we want to do. And therefore, we want partners who can amplify our reach and ability, we can spend as much time to initially understand and explain, but then they can get autonomous and they can sort of take charge of those things. Therefore, quality is definitely something that we cannot compromise, and that's very important for us.
Great. So what are the recent and the long-term plans of your startup?
Okay. We have sort of very systematically broken it down into multiple dimensions. I think the first set of goals is around making sure all our core platforms and technologies are touched and commercially used by as many different clients of different types. And therefore, there is this huge focus on identifying. We have clear plans of identifying clients in specific segments and specific geographies of specific size that we want to work with, because there's nothing like learning reality than working with them. So there are aggressive go-to-market targets to work with specific set of clients to sort of validate our propositions further. Second thing is we want to rapidly expand our engineering core base, because given the reaction that we have seen, there is more demand that we can serve, and therefore target is to expand the team and really have a top-notch quality engineering and R&D base. Then we have goals around specific geographies. We want to deepen penetration in the Singapore market, in the US market. So we are looking at partnerships and channel partners to do. And finally, for everything that we have proven that we can do very well for, say, more than one client, we have a very strong SaaSification strategy where we are building core SaaS platforms and then in easy go-to-market solutions which solve one problem very nicely. So the target is to demonstrate that we can take few of those problems and hit a minimum critical scale that then incentivizes us to invest more in these areas.
Great. Are you raising any external funds or willing to raise in the near future?
Yes. See, so we are open in the market, looking at raising perhaps not more than $1 million right now. The trajectory at which we are growing, we believe that the company valuation and the reality, the action on the growth will take us to new trajectories. So we want to work with a few investors who can sort of act as the bridge at this stage and help us accelerate some of the activities which can set us for the next level. And in this thing, there is an opportunity for whoever comes to us having a very low risk and a high sort of multiple expansion in a very short period of time. In fact, we are so excited by the potential that all of us, including the initial co-founders and this friend and family network, are putting in whatever money is required. So if for some reason we are not able to raise, we'll pump in our own money to the extent we can individually do, because we are very confident. So I would say select few strategic partners who are willing to invest and help us accelerate our journey right now. We are open to that, and we are very excited, and we feel very confident that we can give them extraordinary returns in very short period of time.
Okay, lastly, I would like to ask for your feedback on Startup Lanes.
Oh no, this is Startup Lane is something that I came to know around some WhatsApp groups that I was part of, maybe around a year back. I don't remember, maybe a little bit more. but the speed at which I have seen the organization expanding, from some individuals talking to now people like you who are very systematically look at this discussion and how systematically you guys executed it. It really tells here is an organization who's there for the long term, understand what it means to establish processes and scales in what we do, so that you can do that. The opportunity, and the Indian startup ecosystem, there is extraordinary opportunity ahead from entry level, mid level, new level. So you are doing an incredible job, and every day I hear about something new that you guys are offering, and that sort of excited me to see how I can sort of work with you, and you could be one of our partners who can help us take to the next level.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words.
My pleasure.